All right, as we continue from Hanoi in Vietnam, well, yesterday, journalist Jorge Ramos and Univision staffers, they were detained at the presidential palace in Venezuela after an interview with Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. Now, apparently, Maduro didn't like the questions that were asked and ended the interview when Jorge Ramos showed him this video of hungry Venezuelans eating out of a garbage truck. After being held for 3 hours, the group was thankfully released. Univision News anchor Jorge Ramos joins us now. First of all, I'm glad you're out. I was nervous about what was happening, and we disagree, but I don't disagree on protecting all Americans, whoever they are, wherever they are, and I said it last night, and I mean it. I'm saying it to you personally.
And I want to thank you personally, Sean. I know that we have many differences on immigration, and put those differences aside, because when I needed that support the most, I heard that you were talking about us in Venezuela, and that was incredibly important. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, Sean. Thanks so much to Fox News, because and on those moments when you are detained in a dictatorship, when there's no one to help you, and you see a tweet or you see a report from Fox News or from an American media, you know that you're not alone. And we felt that we were not alone. So, muchas gracias.
Yeah, listen, muy bien. I'm not great with I studied it in school 3 years, but it's not great, Jorge. Let's tell everybody what happened, because they took your tapes. By the way, those are real videos of real Venezuelans. It should be one of the richest countries in the entire world that are eating out of garbage trucks. And that is widespread. And I applaud you for calling attention to the suffering of human beings. This isn't politics to me.
It is terrible what's happening right now in Venezuela. There's a humanitarian crisis. The minimum wage, Sean, is $5. Not $5 an hour or $5 a day, $5 a month. That's the minimum wage. So that's why there's so much hunger. I had the interview with Nicolas Maduro. It lasted about 17 minutes. I think it was a strong interview. It was all right. But then I showed him the kits that you just showed on a garbage truck, and he just couldn't stand it. He stood up. He tried to cover the image so the cameras wouldn't be able to see it. And then I told him, Mr. Maduro, I didn't call him president, I called him Mr. Maduro, what are you doing? Why don't you answer the questions? What you are doing is what dictators do. And then he left. One of his ministers came back. They confiscated 4 cameras, Sean. They took our tape cards where we actually store the interviews, and then they detained us for 2 hours. They took away our cell phones, and at this point, we don't have the cameras, we don't have the interview, and they gave my cell back, although all the cell phones from my colleagues, they're still in Venezuela.
You know, we're having a debate in this country, and everyone knows we have a well-documented disagreement on immigration and border security and American sovereignty and American law. We'll put that aside. But, you know, I look at a country like Venezuela, all the grandiose promises, we'll take care of everything, we'll do everything, government, socialism, it fails. And I'm just curious, as you see these arguments being made in our country, about 70% tax rates, marginal rates, guaranteed education, healthcare, jobs, security, everything, college. I'm wondering if you see the dangers as I do, how socialism does almost universally lead to poverty and false promises.
What I saw in Venezuela is that the 20-year-old revolution, it started with Hugo Chavez in 1999, has failed completely. You have more than 3 million Venezuelans live in the country. Inflation is 1 million%. If they pay 1 bolivar today, it'll be 1 million bolivars in a year from now. And people are dying. I went to a hospital, Hospital Vargas, and then one woman, she had lost a family member, and you know why? Because they didn't have $30 to pay for antibiotics. So the experiment in Venezuela has failed completely. And you know something, I really appreciate the freedom and the liberties that we have here in the United States. You know, we know that I have my differences with President Trump, but this is the difference. You can criticize the President of the United States, and I can go home and nothing happens to me, Sean. But if I criticize the dictator of Venezuela, they confiscate my cameras, they take my interviews, they detain me, and then they expel me from the country. Those are two big differences.
Last thing I'll add, and this is a political point that I'll make, you know,
Sure.
Obama, 8 years, 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty. Obamacare, millions lost their doctors, their plans, they have one option, and everybody paid more. Those are the false promises, I think, of socialism and the danger. And under Donald Trump, look at this, record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace. And I come from very blue-collar roots. I want the forgotten men and women in this country and, frankly, the world to have the blessings of freedom that we take for granted. As I can see here in Vietnam, a lot of poverty.
And I understand your political point, and if you allow me, in this case, especially for this intervention,
about 25 seconds.
I'll concentrate on what I saw in Venezuela. And healthcare in Venezuela, the socialist healthcare in Venezuela is terrible. I mean, I saw this woman who just didn't have enough money for antibiotics. I saw a family whose 15-year-old Christian is dying because they couldn't do blood tests in the hospital. So they took his blood in a tube and they put it in a glass with ice, and they had to take it to another place, and the boy most likely will die very soon simply because they don't have enough medicines. So that's what's happening with the revolution, the Venezuelan revolution right now with Nicolas Maduro.
We may disagree on immigration very strongly, but we agree on humanitarian issues and
we do.
And poverty and what's happened there. I'm glad you're out. Next time we're going to have another fight. So, you know, but we're glad you're home.
We'll have a fight. And first, and let me thank the U.S. Department, the State Department, and the American Embassy in Caracas. Thanks to them, I'm here today in Miami.
I think you should just say, I love Donald Trump, and it'll all be over. It's all good. Welcome home.
Not today. Not today, Sean. Thank you so much.
All right. We're glad you're out. Thank you.